Hi, welcome to Artsy Parts Work with Amelia. Oh, you know what? I always forget to turn on this microphone. Let's see if I can get it going here. One of these days, we'll get it figured out. Well, today is a Sunday, and it's been a quiet day. I worked at a fundraiser all day yesterday, so today I'm just going to rest and paint and recover. Excuse me while I take a drink. So welcome. I love how this painting is turning out. I did the flowers outside intentionally first because I wanted to at some point just focus on the face or the skull, and I knew it would look cool. Sometimes I start with the center piece of whatever it is. Sometimes I start with the face and then do the flowers later, and that's a beautiful journey as well. And this time I just wanted to mix it up and do it a little bit differently and focus on different parts. I wanted to focus on the flowers for this one in the beginning. So join me as we dive into the skull. The thoughts I had, I've been painting already for a while, and so some of the messages that I was getting prior to starting the video were just, I was thinking about how when we think we're right, we don't, we stop asking questions. Not always, but the tendency is there. Um, and that was prompted by a dream that I had a couple nights ago, and I'm still thinking about it and still processing it and trying to glean all the messages and warnings that I can from it. Um, and so part of the dream message was we don't always um, know or see everything, the big picture. We don't know the full story. And so that goes along with the idea of, or the warning to ask questions. I think even when we do ask questions and maybe someone answers it, it's still not the full picture, right? They're answering from their conscious programming. And it's not always true. For example, you have a friend or a family member who says, I'm worried about you, and then fill in the blanks because, or you're processing something and they're giving you feedback. They're giving you feedback based on their lenses, their lens of understanding, their core beliefs and values, their experiences. And they're telling you, well, if I were you, this is what I would do. But they're not you. And so you always have to use your discernment to take what's helpful and leave what's not, and use the processing time with that person to discover new questions to ask. Why did they say that? What's a new perspective for me to consider? Oh, their experiences were helpful, and I do value, the insight they gave me from viewing it another way with a different perspective. And now I'm going to take that information and add it to what I already know and make my own decision based on my own intuition. and values. Some of these numbers are either blurred or too small to read. So I'm just guessing. Or using my magnifier. Still hard to tell. So when I'm quiet for so long, I will explain that's part of my parts work. Um, and what I'm doing is I'm thinking about dreams or unconscious um, happenings. And what I mean by that is, okay, so maybe I saw, here's a good example. I saw a great big spider building a huge elaborate web. It's been going on for days outside my garage, and it's beautiful and scary. Um, and it's got some big chunk of something I caught in there that it's winding up and eating bits by bits. Um, and I'm just kind of wondering if there and getting curious about what might a message be from nature that I can learn from watching that spider. Because I just feel like we can learn a lot from nature. Scientists do it too. It's called biomimicry. They learn how these complex systems work and copy it in their designs. And it works. So I'm just processing and looking for patterns and thinking about, okay, what have I dreamt about multiple times? Or maybe not even that. Maybe it's just a standalone dream. So a dream, a notice in nature, something that has sparked a question or a conversation. And I just think about what have I been focusing on lately? And is that what a good use of my energy and time? Is it problems at work that I'm focusing on processing? Is there a way to reduce the amount of energy I give to that after hours on the weekends is that a good use of my energy? I'm just kind of like thinking about all those things while in the silence of painting, because how often do we have times of silence in our day? Not very often. I'll answer that for you. Okay, what do I want to do next? Do I think I want to do these flowers? I hope you guys can still see this. Let me check my camera here. Look how pretty. This is what I'm talking about, unconscious art. Like, look how pretty that is. Look how pretty this is. This has been my focus and very focused with these small numbers, but look what's happening outside of my awareness. I'm creating beauty without even trying. And so are you. And can you see it? And do you notice it? And do you appreciate it? Last time I did a recording, my camera flipped partway through on me, and it didn't give me the widescreen view that I prefer. Um, if anybody knows why that happens, let me know in the comments. It kind of bugs me that it doesn't stay the same way through the whole video. Hmm. So if you haven't already started a hobby or a craft or something you can zone out with and still not zone out to the point of tuning out. You still want to. I'm hoping this parts work and um, video time helps you tune in, gets you into the practice of tuning in to your intuition, a time of inner listening and connecting with your internal parts in a way where you can say, hey, this is our time. Do we have anything to talk about? What who needs my attention, and what do you want to say or talk about? I'm here to listen. I feel like one of the patterns that I'm still working through, this has been months in the works, but I just feel like there's been a pattern in my waking life of being ignored. And so I keep asking that question. And the hard part is, yeah, asking the question, but not rushing and putting pressure on my internal parts to answer it for me. It's just a question I keep revisiting, like, hey, anybody else have some insights? And when I say anybody else, I mean the internal parts of me. Um, Internal family systems, do a Google search if you are unfamiliar with the process. But basically, there's a whole family of my parts living inside my consciousness, and we all work together or fight with each other. And, there's parts of me that are my younger self with beliefs and motivations and values based on experiences that have not been processed or healed or um, under, fully understood, like they've been stuffed, if that makes sense. And there have been some parts who have encouraged that because they want to manage and be functioning and think that if we feel our feelings, we're going to lose it and we're going to lose our shit and fall apart and not be able to take care of ourselves or loved ones. And so, they're well meaning parts, manager parts who try to stifle other parts. Maybe you have a religious part like I do that says, no, we can't think that, do that, feel that. That's not right. And anytime I hear that thought, that's not right, I question it. Oh, it's not. Why not? What experience happened that made us believe that? And do we still believe that? Um, is it still true? Maybe it was true as a child, but things are different now. The world is different. My beliefs are different. My agency and authority over my life is different. Who's in charge is different. Um, and it could be that that's a belief that is outdated and needs to be updated, for lack of a better word, or reevaluated. Maybe that's a better term. So we have internal parts that are like managers. We have some protectors who their main function is to keep us alive, keep us out of harm. They might be the ones that say, don't draw too much attention. That's not safe. That got us in trouble or has gotten us in trouble historically. Um, we need to shrink ourselves or we need to be small so that so and so isn't competing with us and fighting us for power, whatever the messages were. Um, those protector parts kind of run on autopilot unless you question them and challenge them and say, hey, is this the best way forward for us now? Then we've got firefighters who, when emotions come in, big emotions, even the happy ones, they kind of try and rein it in. That feeling of letting the other, fearful of the other shoe dropping. I don't know where that saying came from. Do you? I would like to know. Um, but sometimes we are not allowing ourselves to enjoy, celebrate, rejoice, share happiness out of fear. It's going to jinx it, or that we're going to get our hopes up and then be disappointed. So that's what firefighters manage big emotions. They might be the ones that say, oh, let's just tune out and do this numbing, mindless scrolling for hours so that we don't have to think about the problems. Um, or, that's where addictions find comfort or solace with the firefighters. And don't get me wrong, we need the firefighters. I mean, their function and role is important. So I'm not saying the goal is to get all these parts to do something different or act different. No. Um, Actually, we need to appreciate them and not tell them that they're bad. We rather say, I see your intentions for me are good, but let's talk about it. Let's ask some questions. Let's see the bigger picture, which again goes back to what my dream was about. The dream was about, are you judging because you think this part's action is wrong and you didn't even ask questions? Just made an assumption that, nope, killing is always bad. For example, in the dream, that was, dreams are exaggerated. They want to make a point. They make you, they catch your attention like a hook and want you to consider a different perspective. For 22, where are you at? Is that a 22? These colors look so similar, 22 and 23 in the container, right? But on the page, you can tell a difference. And they're right next to each other, painted on the canvas. It does, the shading shows up better. Kind of reminds me of perfume. I don't know why, but the perfume smells one way in the bottle, but when you or I put it on, it smells different on you than it does on me. It's the same with delivery of messages too. Uh, think of a coworker at work, anyone randomly. If you and that coworker say the same thing, the delivery is still different. The way it's received is still different. Tone and frequency of voice and body language and understanding, all that stuff makes a difference. never been, I was just thinking about this painting in general. I've never been one that has really been into skulls or that theme of art. And I bought this painting because it was a part of a series, and I just wanted to get them all. And I'm really falling in love with it. And I don't know why. It doesn't matter, but I'm enjoying it in a way, probably because it's new, it's novel, it's not something I've pursued before. And there's fun in that, right? Novelty. These are really small. I like to do the small ones because if I go around them, they get lost. I was looking for that 6 for a long time and I lost it. And then went on to another color and it appeared again. You know, when you stop looking for something, then it appears. That must have something to do with surrender and letting go, putting so much focus on something. Oh, what is that law? I don't, my headspace isn't in the scientific place right now, but you know, the idea of pushing, when you push against something, it it actually repels it. And then you let go, you release, you surrender, and it draws it to you. I always tell myself I'm going to do a short video, and then it ends up being like an hour long. So if you're, there is a way to speed this up, I believe, on YouTube and watch it in fast time. One of my girlfriends says she will listen to it while she walks, and I thought, oh, I hadn't even considered that. It's a not a bad idea. So you feel like you're not walking alone, but um, to let my mind wander. I guess that's the same thing here. The goal is to let your mind wander and to get you started crafting or doing some art. That is my intention. Is I just feel like that's where the magic happens of listening. Is when you're creating, and I just feel like people need an excuse to play. Adults do. So much learning happens during play, and so yeah, sports could do it if you're not artistic or don't want to invest in the supplies. I guess sports are expensive too. There's always an investment, right? And that's part of why adults don't do it. They don't want to spend money on themselves. They'd rather spend it on their kids' sports and play. But I just feel like it's important for us to also, I mean, in modeling that it's important to play to your children is a good lesson. That's where babies learn, is through play. So it's valuable. It's not just a luxury or a pampering. It's learning is important, necessary. Okay, where does Line, stop and start. Oh. So just see, maybe this is a good one to stop the video. I think I will. Thanks for joining. Bye.